Naours, the secret city beneath the fields of France. A peaceful descent into a forgotten world. Close your eyes. Picture the quiet hills of northern France. Golden wheat waves gently in the breeze, and small stone villages sleep beneath the sun, untouched by time. Crows call lazily across the afternoon sky, and the air smells faintly of earth and wood smoke. But beneath this peaceful landscape lies a secret. Not a ruin, not a tomb, but a city, alive with history, carved by human hands, hidden in the soil. This is Naours, one of Europe's largest underground settlements. Naours is not a myth or a legend. It is real, a vast and deliberate labyrinth of chambers and tunnels, stretching more than 2 kilometers with over 300 rooms carved into the soft white chalk of the French countryside. At a glance, the world above Naours appears simple: a forest, a field, a road that winds through trees. But below your feet, if you knew where to look, you would find winding passageways, arched ceilings, staircases carved into stone, and silence. A deep, enveloping silence, broken only by your own breath. It is a place of shadows, and yet a place of shelter. Let us go there together now, not in haste, but gently, slowly, like those who once crept down into the darkness, not to escape history, but to survive it. A refuge beneath the soil. The story of Naours begins in the Middle Ages, a time of war, uncertainty, and fear. Across Europe, villages were often caught in the crossfire of religious strife, feudal disputes, and invasions. The people of Naours knew that their land, rich and fertile, would always be desirable and vulnerable. And so they turned inward, then downward, and finally underground. Beginning as early as the 13th century, they carved into the earth. At first, small hiding spaces, then passageways, then entire chambers. But they did not stop there. They created an entire underground city, designed not only to hide, but to live. Within these stone walls, they built bakeries, wells, livestock pens, and chapels. There were homes, storerooms, and wide rooms for gatherings. Fresh air flowed through cleverly carved vents. Water was pulled from deep wells. People slept, cooked, and even prayed beneath the ground. During wars, especially during the 30 Years' War and the Franco-Spanish conflicts, entire communities would vanish from the surface, sometimes for weeks. Above, battles raged, armies looted villages and burned crops. But below, in the soft light of candles and oil lamps, people whispered stories to their children and listened for the all-clear. In Naours, darkness was not an enemy. It was protection. It was quiet. It was life. Life in the dark. Life underground was never easy, but it was possible. And more than that, it was necessary. Imagine waking in a small stone chamber with the sound of breathing all around you. Families sleeping shoulder to shoulder, sharing warmth. Outside, enemy troops might be near, but inside, there is a fragile peace. In one chamber, bread is being kneaded. In another, prayers are murmured. Someone gathers water from a well. A child plays with a wooden doll, unaware of the danger above. There were rules here, rhythms. Light was carefully rationed. Smoke had to be vented. Movement was minimal, and voices stayed low. And through all this, life carried on. The underground became not just a shelter, but a home. Even now, when you walk through these tunnels, the air is cool and still.
The chalk walls are soft to the touch. In places, you can see the blackened ceilings where fires once burned, the shelves carved into walls, and the worn floor where feet passed again and again. And in that stillness, you feel something more than history. You feel presence. You feel memory. You feel people. A secret found again. Naours remained hidden for centuries, lost to time as peace returned to the land. By the 18th and 19th centuries, many locals knew of the tunnels, but they were considered more legend than reality. That changed in the early 20th century. In 1887, a local priest named Father Ernest Danicourt began to explore and document the underground city. His work brought attention to the site, which soon became a destination for the curious and the brave. But its true rediscovery came during World War I. As the Great War consumed Europe, the region around Naours became home to French and Allied soldiers. One day, some of these young men stumbled upon the tunnels. What they found astounded them and gave them shelter. Naours once again became a place of refuge. Soldiers rested in its halls between missions. They told stories, played cards, and explored. But most importantly, they left their mark. Inscriptions of the soul. More than 3,000 inscriptions still cover the walls of Naours. Names, initials, dates, units, even drawings. These were not just graffiti. They were traces of fear, hope, longing, and memory. They were love letters etched in stone. Some simply wrote their names and hometowns. Louis, 1916, Toulouse. Private J. Green, 2nd Battalion. Others wrote to those they missed. Pour ma mère, je pense à toi. For my mother, I think of you. Still others carved symbols, crosses, or the silhouettes of women. In those walls, the war becomes real, not just in strategy or politics, but in the hearts of individuals. Each carving is a voice saying, I was here, I lived, I waited, I hoped. And now you can walk those same corridors. You can run your fingers over their words. You can listen, not with your ears, but with your heart, and hear them again. Silence as sanctuary. There is something profoundly peaceful in these tunnels, even in their history of suffering. The air is cool and dry. Your footsteps echo softly. Light flickers gently on chalk walls. The world outside fades away. Here, underground, time loosens its grip. You are no longer in the present, or perhaps you are in every time at once. You are with the villagers of the Middle Ages. You are with the soldiers of 1916. You are with those who hid, who waited, who survived. And as you breathe slowly, surrounded by stone and silence, your thoughts begin to slow as well. Here, there is no noise, no rush, only stillness. And in that stillness, healing. The eternal underground. Naours is not the only underground refuge in Europe, but it is among the most complete, the most human. It shows us not only how people protected themselves from violence, but how they carried with them their culture, their faith, their love. They brought bread ovens, they built chapels, they sang, whispered, laughed, they carved poems, they drew hearts on the walls. And perhaps in doing so, they reminded us all of something. That beneath the surface of the world, of history, of ourselves, there is always more. There is memory, there is meaning, there is light, even in the darkness. A soft farewell. So now imagine yourself there. The candle flickers beside you. The stone is cool beneath your fingertips. You take a deep breath, You are safe. No armies march above. No alarms ring. Only silence, ancient, kind, and warm. Maybe you leave a mark of your own, not carved in stone, but in your thoughts. A memory, a whisper, a prayer. You turn to leave, slowly walking up the long stairway back toward the world above. But part of you remains. Part of you always will. Because places like Naours are not meant to be forgotten. They are meant to be remembered, quietly, respectfully, and with gratitude. End of the journey. You are back now, above ground, but the peace of Naours is still with you. Let that peace carry you to sleep. Let it hold